All right. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, good day, because it depends on where you are in the world. Watching us, if you're watching us live, we just welcome you today to Home Ownership Changed My Life. And we have some phenomenal guests today. If you're not familiar, the National Association of Real Estate Brokers has House Then the Car. And this month, October, is our birthday. It's your birthday.
Happy
No,
birthday.
really.
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, House in the Car. And I just want to do a shout out to Miss Letitia Grant and Miss Stephanie Milburn, the founders. I don't know what to call them, but Miss Letitia is the chair, and Miss Milburn is the manager of House in the Car. And they had this vision over a year ago. So October is our birthday month, and we'll be doing celebrations across the United States. All of our ambassadors, and ambassadors are those people who have taken the millennial training. They are there to assist you in realizing your dream of home ownership. So we're really excited about celebrating the birthday of House in the Car. We have some phenomenal information that our ambassadors are going to be providing for you. So go to the National Association of Real Estate Brokers website, go to the House in the Car website, get the information of the information that's going to be in your town, USA, because we are across the United States of America, and we're really excited to be bringing you some phenomenal information. But to get to the point, you can go to House in the Car website, housethenthecar.com, and there lots of resources about down payment assistance programs, FICO estimator scores, just a wealth of information. So you want to check that out. And you also want to check out where the ambassadors in your area are going to be doing some programs just for you. So my name is Clara Lyons Devon. I am out of New Jersey, and we have some wonderful co-hosts today, Ms. Sasha Allen and Ms. Kiana Jones. So I'm just going to swing it over to you to introduce yourselves and introduce our guests for today.
Thank you. So my name is Sasha Allen. I'm a realtist out of Monterey, California. So I've been practicing real estate here for about 4 years, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy working with the House in the Car. I am the only ambassador in the area, so that's fun. But Tiana, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, and I'm on the other side of the country here in Columbus, Ohio, where it's afternoon right now. So happy afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. And I am the current president of the Columbus Realtors Association, and also a House in the Car ambassador, where we currently have, I believe, 6 or 7 ambassadors that can serve you here in Central Ohio. So please visit the House in the Car website. I'm also practicing real estate agent for Carlton Realty. So anytime Travis is on the line, so we have realtors that are going to talk to you today and tell you how we're helping millennials change their lives. So we want to welcome Travis Brooks and Gary. Sasha, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Hey, guys.
Hi, welcome Gary and Travis.
Hey, guys.
Travis.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Travis, if you want to introduce Gary and let us know how you two met.
Well, again, thank you for the introduction. I'm Travis Brooks. I am the local board president for the Bay Area Association of Realtors down here in Tampa Bay, Florida. So it's always a pleasure to be on the line with my Realtors family. I am also the broker for Brooks Realty Group down here in Tampa, Florida. And we look forward to servicing anything you need in the Bay Area. As far as my wonderful client, Brother Gary Cadet, he's also a dear friend of mine, my fraternity brother, a good young man that's making waves in this world. And I thought it was very, very important that we got him into home ownership, and we know how important that is as realtors on this Zoom call this morning. So, but yeah, Gary can give you a little bit more about himself.
So how's everybody doing? I'm Gary. I am 24 years old. I am a financial sales consultant now at Enterprise. It just got promoted actually 45 minutes ago. I wasn't.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I was a manager, but moved up highly with the ranks. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. That's when I originally met Travis. Another thing is I wanted to point out, me and Travis's communication is actually what bonded our friendship, because the communication we had for the home buying process actually was really helpful. Going into the home buying process, I actually wanted to learn more than anything. And Travis not only got me in a really, really, really nice spot and a really great payment, he actually taught me a lot. So within the next year to 18 months, I have hopes to closing on another home.
So that'll be home number 2 or home number 1?
Home number 2 that I want to close on.
Awesome.
Okay, so now you're going into investment property.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yes. Yes. Now I'm going to investment property. I hope. I actually talked to Travis about this like the second week I closed. I want to live in Miami. I want to end it all there. So now I'm starting to properly save and get spiritually and financially ready to possibly, hopefully, get a home in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, South Florida.
Okay, that's nice. So are you sharing this knowledge with other friends and other millennials your age?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really cool being getting my first home at 23, because one thing is, obviously I'm a walking testimony. So everything that I went through and all the trials and tribulations that I've been through, I can help other people. And the biggest thing that Travis told me when I closed, and he was like, you're paying less than what I rent, like what I would pay for rent. And that was the biggest thing that I shared with a lot of people, is that's what I'm paying. What I'm paying is less than I would pay for rent. So I really do feel like a lot of millennials aren't educated about the topic of home ownership. And that's one thing I have been doing ever since May and I closed, and really just helping people out, showing them, and really just a few words of encouragement can actually go a long way.
I like that, Gary, that's so important that you're continuing to move on, because for some reason, when we're young, we think once we purchase a home, we're in it for 30 years, we're going to die here, we're going to retire here, and nothing else happens in life. And, with that point of view, I wouldn't purchase a house at 23 either, if you think that's where I'm going to live and die and everything else. So looking at it as, this is just my first house, and already being ready to move on and seeing it more as an investment and building wealth, you're ahead of the game, and you're going to be where you want to be 40 years old, so
definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, Travis, can you tell us what it was like, the experience working with Gary and building that relationship with him to get him to the closing table?
Yeah, ironically, working with Gary was a lot easier than some of my older clients. One, because Gary came with the mindset of what he wanted to do. So I didn't have to do much convincing. We know with millennial clients, sometimes it gets difficult to teach them that mindset of, how to create generational wealth at such an early age, because their mindset is on everything else. Thus, this platform house in the car, they'd rather go get a $600 car payment. And at that point, they got student loans and they're financially strapped, and they're going to be renting for the next 5 to 10 years before they save for a property. So his mindset was phenomenal. So the process of getting him a property was much easier than a lot of my other clients. And like he said, the ability that he has to spread that message to millennials, he's already contacted me. Well, the millennials that he's contacted have already called me regarding purchasing a home. So he's definitely a walking testimony, and he's walking in his truth.
I'm telling you, home ownership is
Definitely
contagious.
is.
Yes. So we have a website, Housed in the Car. So on there, under the resources tab, there's also a budgeting tool that is amazing. Get your budget in order. Some people don't realize exactly where their money is going, so that is very helpful. Did you use something like that when you were getting ready to purchase?
Honestly, so how my home ownership, how it started, it was like, I prayed on it first. So I don't think it was the finances that was the biggest thing. I think it was just honestly believing in myself, because it was a really big step. And I think that's where Trav really cemented his help, because the problem not necessarily was the finances, because I felt like I've saved towards to make this big investment. I think it was believing myself. And that goes back to a lot of millennials. That's like a huge purchase. And a lot of people don't want that burden to carry what they may feel like a house comes with, or the responsibility. I think that was one of the biggest things with me, was believing in myself that I could do it. And this wasn't holding me down, basically. I think that as soon as I realized that, everything then after was just a learning experience. So I loved it all, honestly. Everything I went through, even the hardships or the adversity, the small adversity that we had with closing the house came. But honestly, it was all a learning experience. So at the end, me teaching millennials, me teaching like my friends and my peers, I'm happy that I went through all of this. So now, for example, as Trav said, a lot of people are hitting up. I have a few fraternity brothers that are seriously interested. So everything I went through, I could teach them all, like, hey, I did this, or hey, this is what happens with HOA, or hey, this is about the appraisal fee, everything that comes in, because a lot of times, a lot of people aren't educated on the topic. So by me being educated, Trav helping me with a lot, it's so cool, because now I could just pass down the line, like, hey, I can be here for your whole contract. I can walk you through it. Any questions that you have, I probably have. And one thing was, me and Trav, what I highlighted earlier, our communication was key, because there was a point where I would call Trav like 30 times within a day just for one simple question. And he would put my mind at ease, like, hey, I started the contract. When do I get my keys? And he just taught me a lot through that, with looking at the house, with the mortgage, the payment, the paperwork, everything. So now, even though me and Travis are talking about future, I feel comfortable coming to Travis, or comfortable teaching anybody on everything I went through.
I love
I
that.
just want to, I want to congratulate you, Gary, because a lot of, sometimes young people don't see the value, one, in listening to other people, but you said two things that really are inspirational. We're here to inspire millennials. One is that you sought God, that you have a spiritual base and that you have
Absolutely.
faith. Yeah, I think that's really, really important for people in general, but also to see it in young people is just phenomenal. And then the second thing is that you were working with Travis, who is a realtist. And for people out there who don't know, realtist is a special designation for real estate professionals who are members of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. And realtists have toolkit of tools to assist in the home buying process that most people do not have. The information, the education, Travis, the experience that you have as a realtor is bar none. And the fact that, Gary, you were able to connect with Travis and be able to glean, his wisdom is phenomenal. Yeah. So congratulations.
Absolutely. And I think that's the best thing, our learning processes, because one thing I didn't want to do is to get in a home and not know anything about it. I already had a home to figure out and a lot to do, but that was one thing I definitely highlighted, Sean on Travis about. I don't want to get in a home. I started my contract the 13th of April and I closed the 19th. And I told Travis, like, hey, with everything I'm doing, I want you to help me as a friend and as my realtor. And I think that's where a lot of our decisions coincided a lot. And he taught me a lot, because I wanted to learn as much as I can about the process. So in however long, when I go through it again, there's a lot of mistakes I've done that I don't want to do. And even with my friend who is going under contract right now, what can she do? What should she do? The best things that I've learned and the practices that I've been taught, I can like pass it on to somebody.
But real quick, let me interject. Throughout this whole conversation, the beautiful underlining is that Gary was willing to listen. All of us realtors that's on this call, we run into those clients that know more than you do, and they make it very difficult for you. And I tell them all the time, unless, I don't fix cars, so I can't take my car to the shop and tell them how to put my radiator in. right? So I'm trusting that they do their job. And that's a message to not only millennials, but anybody that's looking to work with the realtors on your home buying process. Trust that they've done the research, they've done the work, they put the time in to become an expert in our field. So if you're going to work with the realtors, then hire realtors. Let us do our job, and we got your best interests at heart. Because the more you push back, the harder this process is going to be. And what makes Gary's process so smooth and so enjoyable was that he was open to listening. He was very open to listening. Now, when he passed that information on to his friends and his family, it'll be a pleasant story instead of these horror stories that some folks have about buying property. So if out there listening and you hopefully you get this message. If you work with the realtors, please, please, please trust their expertise.
Travis, you hit on something that's really important there, and it's the term trusted advisor, and that's what we are here for. We are your trusted advisor. And I like that, we call you Travis, and now Gary's calling you Trav. So I'm wondering, how that came about. So clearly he trusts you throughout this process and beyond, is referring you along. So that's what exactly to piggyback off of what you said, Travis. So Gary, let me ask you, what was the first thing that you purchased after you bought your home?
Oh man, I actually remember. So it was a bunch. So, man.
At least you waited till after, but.
No. So actually, as I was going into the contract, I was purchasing a few things. So a big thing I wanted to do for my home is I know I didn't want to stay in the past two years, to be honest. So one thing I did was I was looking around the area. So as soon as I got in contract, one thing I was doing, I looked around the schools. So I looked around the schools, see, okay, this is a great school. I looked for supermarkets. Like I'm a big Publix guy now. So like I have a Publix a mile away. But the first thing I could say I honestly bought was one study Bible, 2 flat screen TVs, and I want to say like the paint for my room, but like I can't tell you which one's first, but all those legitimately was probably at the same time.
Okay. You waited to the end though. You didn't go in and finance. That's one big thing that
Oh
millennials.
no. No. No, I would never finance. Everything that I bought was like on OfferUp or Craigslist.
Okay.
Millennial thing. So
yeah. Okay. So these are apps on your. Sorry, I'll explain it. So these are all apps on your phone that you can that people can sell, buy, or trade things. So I knew I'm not getting married anytime soon, so I didn't need all this decorations. It's just a dude living. So everything I got, even though my house is super nice, Travis, my older prophytes, everyone, when I was posting it, I was taking gifts. So a lot of things I got in my house were gifts. I didn't step foot inside of City Furniture or Havities. Anything that's financing, I did not do that. So because I didn't want the financial burden of getting those things or getting these new bed sets. Everything I got, I prayed for cash and saved up for it. So when the opportunity arisen, I really knew what vision I had. I did a few accent walls, simply because I didn't want to paint the house because I want whoever moves into it or starts raining or whatever happens, I want them to see the vision they have for their home, not the vision I put out for my home. So that's why I just did 2 simple accent walls, one in my room and one downstairs. And then pretty much it was it. And then after that, I was just accepting gifts. I wasn't really big on, of course I wanted everything to match, but if it was brown, I was taking it.
Those millennials know how to stretch a dollar, don't they?
Right.
Yes.
But that's smart not to finance. You don't have to. It's
Absolutely.
good. And you were already thinking ahead that this is not my forever home. So let me not do too much here. And that's good, Gary.
And I think that's key. And not only just millennials, all my clients, if it's not your forever home, let's look at it as an investment. Let's look at the area. Is it a good resale market? Is it a good rental market? Those are the things you should be looking at when you're purchasing your first, second, or third home. But if it's not the last home you plan on being in, let's make sure we look at it from an investment standpoint. And that's what a lot of millennials need to start thinking about. You're coming in, you're paying rent anyway. You're going to pay for a roof over your head. Every month when you make that mortgage payment, you're putting money into a savings account. You're building equity into your property. So, and this year is amazing testimony because so many folks have gone through some hardships during this year, but those that have homes may have been able to tap into that equity into their home to get them through these last 4 or 5 months. If you don't have that equity in your home, which I teach this all the time, 68% of your net worth is attributed to the equity in your home. So for those that have been renting and going through hard times, they're stuck. They can't go get the home equity line. They can't do a cash out refinance to get them through these hard times when jobs have been lost and you need some cash. So owning a home is not just about a roof over your head, but it's securing your future. And that's the message that needs to be put out to everyone. It's about securing you and your family's future.
Exactly. If you're going to invest in Bitcoin or whatever those other commodities are out there to invest your money in, then real estate is in everyone's portfolio that is a millionaire and beyond. So if you're making investments in all of these other commodities, then real estate, you can ask any millionaire. They have some real estate in their portfolio.
Absolutely.
Where you want to start at.
Indeed. Gary, you said something that you had a plan. The plan was 2 years in this property, and then now you own another property. Was that part of the initial plan, or what is your plan for?
My plan actually happened with the conversations with Travis. I knew I wanted a home. I knew I wasn't ready for a family yet. So it wasn't going to be my home to start for a family. But I knew I wanted my home to fit a family. So with me having a 2-bedroom, 2.5, I had 2 rooms and I also had a loft. So I automatically thought about how would this work for a family, and it worked perfect for newborns. The newborn could be in the far room. It's not too far to here. And then the loft could be an office. And I think the loft is what I utilize more with learning through Travis, because with learning through Travis, I have, he taught me about the key points of the house. And with working from home, a loft is a perfect addition. So it was really more third week. I was the third week of my going into my contract, that first week of May is when I started sitting down and thinking hey, what is my forever goal with the house? And I definitely wanted to do that before I got the keys, because I didn't want to do anything too much. I didn't want to do all these fancy gadgets to the house that would go down the line. I just started thinking after these conversations with Travis and the guidance he gave me, what I want to do. And then I had these plans. Then a week or 2 after I closed, I told Trav. And I actually told him I wanted to go house searching again now.
That's great.
Do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. And I like to say, man, my clients are become family. And before Gary was my client, he was already part of my family, like the little big head brother that get on your nerves. But I love him to death. And again, he's been a huge asset to those in our circle, especially in his era about purchasing a home. So I'm proud of the young man.
So Gary, did you have to put a big down payment assistance, or did you have to put a big down payment, or did you get any down payment assistance?
So originally, this is actually one of the stipulations that made the home buying process difficult. Originally, I had a savings account, and I don't feel afraid, but I had a savings account of about $11,000, $12,000, and my savings account wasn't primarily for me; it was for my mother. I just always wanted to make sure she, if anything happens, she's comfortable. I feel like I can always manage. I'm still young. I feel like I don't get tired, so I feel like I can work at really any job for money. So my savings account was legitimately for my mother. So me and Trav went through down payment assistance, and we didn't get the best help, as I can say. We didn't get the best help, but honestly, the best thing about that is it didn't go as planned what we wanted to do with the down payment assistance program. God has put me in a position where I was able to pay that 3.5% for FHA. Didn't touch my savings too much and already made it. So honestly, it was more about it was more of a learning lesson. I think that is where we highlighted it, of down payment assistance and of that current stature of things. So even though I did pay the 3.5 and originally originally wanted to do down payment assistance, I still think that the learning lesson that I got is huge from everything. So I'm actually happy we went that route.
What happened, like many of you guys on Realtors know, again, he purchased in May. We're in the middle of COVID. So originally we had down payment assistance set, but lenders started pulling back programs. So the lenders that we were supposed to go through for down payment assistance at the last minute canceled their DPA programs. He's not unique to the situation. I have a lot of clients that had to go through, I'm sure you ladies have as well, that COVID has changed the lending process quite a bit over the last few months. So he got caught up in that mix. Right when we were going to contract, down payment system still available. 2 weeks later, due to COVID, they ended it. But like he said, success is when preparation meets opportunity. He was prepared for it. Mm-hmm. He was prepared for it. So when the opportunity arose, we didn't have too much to worry about. Of course, we would have loved to keep that 3.5% in your bank account, but because of his due diligence, we were able to move forward with that process. But yeah, COVID, he got caught up with the COVID.
Yeah, most of us did. That hit hard. Yeah. It did. I lost a lot of clients, and but due to House in the Car, I have really been able to educate them, and just really been able to use the down payment assistance tool in the resource tab on the website. And so once I just click in the address, it just comes up what they're able to, the down payment assistance that they're able to go after. So that's been very helpful. The ones that's still available. Yeah.
And you can be single, no kids, anything like that, and still jump in here and purchase and have that mindset to get in there and get it. And, the quote that I've been using a lot is, if not now, then when? We're already behind the ball with, home ownership when it comes to other groups. So don't wait, to purchase a home, and let life get ahead of you. Go ahead and purchase your home now so that home can help you get ahead in life. So those are the things that you need to think about so that planning can come down the line. But Gary, you are doing it big, and you hit a couple points. You're single. You said you're not getting married anytime soon. You have a savings account for your mother. I don't know if you're going to be single too soon after this.
Right now, I'm loving myself. So I'm really learning from a lot. So even though I just bought my first house, I'm still looking. And it's not necessarily because I want to hurry up and get one. I just want to know all the information I can. So next time I speak with Travis, I always have notes. I just wrote your notes about house and car and the down payment assistance. I always have notes and keynotes that I could bring. And when I self-reflect and decompress, I look at these notes, bring them to Trav. But right now it's just more on focus with what God's trying to do with me. So when I know what God's trying to do with me, I'm his servant. I want him to use me in this light. So I think that's right now, that's where most of my focus is going to.
It's amazing. I love it. I love that you're so teachable, that you're just open to all this information. That is really what we're just trying to get out there, is just learn. Let's learn as much as we can and buy these homes now.
Absolutely.
Now. Why wait?
Indeed. So, Gary, I know you have to get back to work, but what would you say is the number one thing of how homeownership has changed your life?
I don't want to say it changed my life. It definitely enhanced it. One thing I definitely want to say is the believing in myself. I think that's the biggest thing. Some things are just never meant to be, no matter how much you wish they are. And there's some things that are in God's plan. And that's what I want through this. That's what I want through this Zoom call for anyone who's thinking about it, to even go for it. Because I feel as if believing in yourself is the best thing I can get from it. I didn't believe in myself that I would be a homeowner at 23. Moving in, I was the youngest person by far, and I was a little startled. But now, with all the information I know, me willing to learn and me willing to help people, I just feel like believing in yourself is the number one step. I feel like finances you can always work on. You can always be fortunate. saving. So I'm not gonna say finances. I feel like believing in yourself. I feel like there's a lot of people that my age and a lot of people that reached out to me were actually a few years ahead of me. They're 28, 29 and had these questions, and they're well in their careers. They just didn't believe themselves. I feel like that's the biggest thing. Once you believe in yourself and you believe in your craft, everything else is completely easier. I personally believe.
Indeed, indeed. Travis, any parting remarks?
Well, one, I want to thank you guys for giving us this opportunity, giving Gary this platform to speak to not only you guys, but obviously to his peers, and how important it is to create that wealth for yourself and your family. So that savings account that Gary has set up for his mother, it just tripled by him purchasing a home, right? So we want to make sure that we do everything we can to get this message out, knowing that right now our home ownership rate is at 47%. Although we've increased since second quarter last year, we're still in last place when it comes to Hispanics, Asian Americans, and non-Hispanic white Americans. So we're so far behind the wealth gap right now that we need to get this message out to millennials, baby boomers, anybody that will listen. And I don't care what recession we're in. I don't know anybody that likes to sleep in the rain. So you're gonna pay for a roof over your head. So if you're gonna pay for a roof over your head, pay for one that pays itself for you. So that's what I want to leave you guys with. Let's make sure that we do everything we can to spread this message.
Hey guys, before we end, we have a few audience questions. So why don't we take some of the questions from the audience and get those questions answered?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I can't see them at the moment, Stephanie. If you could read them off while I bring them up.
Okay. So there's a question that says, how soon after I purchase my home should I look to refinance? I bought my home in August of 2019. It's a 2-family and I'm house hacking. My tenants pay more than 50% of my current mortgage payment. So this question is, how soon should she refinance?
Anybody can take this call, or can
okay. I usually tell
Anybody?
6 months.
Well, I don't want to, for me personally, I don't want to give you a hard time frame. It's situational, right? So if I purchase the property today at 5% interest rate and 2 months from now, it dropped down to 2.5% to 3%, why not go ahead and take advantage of that refinance? And you want to do it earlier than later, because adding 2 months onto a 30-year mortgage won't hurt you that much, but it'll definitely bring your mortgage payment down.
Thank you. Here's another question. It says, why didn't you get enough help and what was the learning lesson? So I believe that's a question for Gary.
Okay, so basically, the mortgage company that I went to was a small home mortgage company, and down payment assistance was basically going to give me not a free, but they're going to give me a $7,500 grant if I stayed in the house within 5 years. Stayed in the house for 5 years, I keep it. What the problem that arose is there wasn't a lot of communication, and I'm a big communicator. So this is one of the biggest decisions I was facing in my life. So there was sometimes 7 to 10 days I didn't hear from the people that were from the mortgage, and that was really worrisome. It came to when I was May 15th at May 11th, 8 days before I closed. I got a call on a Thursday afternoon, or whatever that Thursday was, is they told me that the down payment assistance program, they tried to give me 2 and it didn't work. So that was the help I was talking about. I just wanted better communication. I wanted to know the first one I didn't go through, and I definitely wanted to know the second one. So hypothetically, if I wasn't financially stable, I was able to be aware. I think that was where I didn't get any help, and more so the communication, because I just feel like when someone communicates to you, you have a clear path of understanding and you know what you're up against. But me and Trav didn't necessarily know what we were up against. We just got blindsided by a lot. Thank God we got through it, the trials and tribulation, but that was the help I was talking about.
Right. Again, let's keep going back to this COVID situation. So they were trying, I guess, to try to mitigate the down payment assistance program going away, but I'm sending emails, Gary's sending emails, nobody's responding, and I'm at a position where I can't go put my hands on nobody, but somebody has to get back to us ASAP. But by the time they got back to us, again, we're 8 days away from closing, and we get this news. So that's something definitely I don't want to put my clients through. But it was out of our control. Fortunately and thankfully, Gary was in a position and we were in a position to move forward.
Yeah. And there was another question about, are the DPA programs back or are they still being pulled? So two things. One, if you go to the House and the Car website, you can put in a property address. And with that property address, it'll tell you the down payment assistance programs in your area, right, for that property or around that property. Two, it's on a case-by-case basis. So most down payment assistance programs have a certified list of lenders that can do that program. And before you get started, one, you want to check to make sure that your lender is on that preferred list. That would be one thing that you can do. And then if they are on the list, you can actually call the down payment, the grant program directly, like let's say if it's the state, and you can request how many loans that particular lender has closed in the program, say in the last 3 to 6 months, because even though some of those lenders are on the list, they're not doing the program because they just can't meet the financial guidelines. So, and you can call the lender too and say, are you guys still doing this program with the state? So it's really important to do the due diligence. And like Travis and Gary said, there are times when you'll go through the process and it'll still get pulled based on what's going on with funding and with underwriting. And that's an unfortunate situation. So being prepared, to be able to do the deal without additional assistance is always the best situation to be in. But if you really need that money, you can do some due diligence up front as well. Any other comments from the rest of the panel on that?
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, you also have the House and the Car Ambassador tab on that website. So if you are unsure of what direction you need to go in, we could just be that one-stop shop to get you connected. So that's under the Ambassadors tab on houseandthecar.com. Travis?
No, well, you covered it. Just the questions have down payment assistance program, and like the young lady said, it's on a case-by-case basis. Some lenders are bringing it back slowly, and some have went back full force. So I would say get with a trusted realtist in your corner, and we'll guide you through that process.
Also, I want to chime in on a few things. For everyone thinking about down payment assistance, one thing that it's naive to think is the down payment assistance will cover everything. Like, they'll cover everything. I always say whatever they're covering, try to have that, simply because not necessarily for if something were to happen, God forbid, but when you have a sort of a backup plan, I think you go in more with a clear mind. I feel like that's the biggest thing, because if you're doing down payment assistance, I feel like you might get a property you necessarily aren't too thrive about, and it's not the best property. There's a lot of problems, and I think your mind gets misconstrued because you think of free. I think if you go into the process with the number or the amount you're getting for down payment assistance already, or you have a close amount, I feel as if that makes the process so much more clearer, and your mind's thinking differently. I definitely truly think that.
Yeah. So if you have at least 6% of the purchase price, whatever range you're in, if you've got 6 to 8% of the purchase price, you should be in pretty good shape. And if you do the down payment assistance program, you need to be in that property in most cases at least 5 years. So, Gary said he had an out for 2 years, right? So if your out is less than 5 years, you might want to take that into consideration when trying to go after those funds. There are some stipulations to the money, so you want to be clear, what they are in your state.
And my stipulation as well, I don't want to sell the house in 2 years. I just knew from May 23rd, 2020 to May 23rd, 2022, I know I'm gonna get another house. So I think that's what I just wanted to clarify. I know Travis is gonna give me another house. I trust Travis. I trust his teaching. I trust his learning. Honestly, Travis has gave me a few bullet points that he wants me to get. And as soon as I touch them, even if it's early as November 1st, or my goal, I want to get everything February of the new year. And me and Travis has that conversation. But I put myself for a 2-year time limit for me to stay in that home before I search another property. I can still stay in the home, but 2 years, in 2 years from me closing, Travis is going to give me another property. And we're already in plans of that.
So Gary is a boss investor. That's a boss investor move. Like, bam.
Absolutely.
Indeed. And we should all be boss investors. Yes. So real estate is the -- wealth building tool for Americans. It is. It really, really is. And so if you don't have real estate in your portfolio, this is the ticket. And okay, gotcha. If you haven't, as Travis said, you are not too young. You're not too young. You just need to believe in yourself, believe that God has a plan for you, that you can purchase real estate now. You've seen the inspiration. Join us. House then the car, because we want you to get that house note. You can always go back and get a car note. But if your debt to income is too high, that might bump you out. That's why it's house then the car. But you want to know that home ownership really can change your life. It can be a leveraging tool, as Travis said. It can be a financial incentive for the next thing, and it can bring money back to you. So purchasing property is the way to go. Being a millennial is not a disadvantage. It's an advantage because you'll have equity built up by the time you're 30, right? 30, 40 years old, your house can be paid off. So you really want to consider that it is possible and it is doable for you. So we are here every Tuesday. Homeownership changed my life one Tuesday. And if you haven't purchased yet, Millennial Talk Tuesday, next Tuesday, same time, you can join us here, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have, we'll have another millennial on who is in the process, who hasn't purchased yet, to really inspire you, because that's our goal. Our goal is to inspire as many people as possible, as many young people as possible to get into the investment game. Invest in real estate, invest in yourself, invest in your future. So we just want to thank you for hanging out with us today. We want to thank you, Gary. You're doing phenomenal things. I'm going to have to call you boss man, Gary. Yeah, you got the investor thing going on, and I wish you much success. And thank you, Travis, for taking Gary under your wings and showing him the Realtors spirit, the Realtors love, and the Realtors family, because we are definitely a family and we help the people that we serve. So until next time, peace. Have
Bye,
a wonderful
guys.
day.
Have a good day.
Happy birthday, House in the Car.